Update on the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, especially as it relates to hiking and the Grand Canyon rim to rim. National Park Service just released some photography and video of the North Rim Lodge, and if you were in doubt as to whether it was really burned, if it was doctored pictures, well, it's definitely burned. Those pictures might have been doctored, but these I don't think are, and the damage is extensive. I did see there was a cabin or two that was still standing, but in general, I think the lodge is a goner and will need to be rebuilt. Now, since my last video, the perimeter of the fire has expanded as well. And it's actually past the North Kaibab Trailhead, gone down. It's burnt on these switchbacks here, and there is quite a bit of fuel in this switchback section, so I could see how that could burn. I don't know how many trees are gone around these switchbacks. I do know from Southern California here that when we do have a forest fire and those trees die, so does the root system that holds those trails in place in a lot of places. So if the trees are gone there, if it rains, those switchbacks could get potentially washed out and need to be rebuilt, but I'll keep you updated on that when it happens. But going further down here, we burnt around Supai Tunnel, which shouldn't be a big deal for the trail. There is a little structure here with water right by Supai Tunnel, and then it stopped before Red Wall Bridge, which is a good thing because that bridge, I mean, they probably helicopter a new one in, but that was a pretty significant structure as part of this North Kaibab Trail. So Red Wall Bridge looks like is okay right now. And then if we go down, you could see the fire has expanded down here towards Roaring Springs, but is stopped at Roaring Springs or before Roaring Springs. I have been watching the updates, and I'll put links to those and the sources that I used underneath the video if you want to check it out. But according to the responders here, they are protecting the Roaring Springs area and the water and the structures that are down there. If you want to know what the priorities of the effort are, I'll put them on the screen right now. This is what, according to the responders here, this is what their priorities are. But I had talked about the water system earlier. Now, I think it wrapped up at the end of last year, they rehabilitated a lot of the water pipeline, not the part from Roaring Springs up to the North Rim. That's under review. They're trying to get comments on restoring that, but they did restore the part that goes to the South Rim. Now, as part of this restoration, which I just found out, the intake for the South Rim has been moved from Roaring Springs down to the Bright Angel Creek by Phantom Ranch. So the water that's going up to the South Rim goes in there. So even if Roaring Springs area was destroyed in this fire, it wouldn't hopefully affect the South Rim. So that's a good thing. From South Rim, goes from Phantom Ranch, the pump house by Havasupai Gardens, right before you get there on the Bright Angel Trail. You could see it. And then up to the South Rim. So I think that's going to be okay, at least for now. Now, when I watched the briefing, they mentioned that they're going to try to get emergency generators on to get the pump house at Roaring Springs working again so they can pump water from Roaring Springs up to the North Rim. Now, there are other North Rim trails that have been destroyed as part of this fire. You can see now it is spreading where these little patterns are. These are the heat signatures. They said this weekend was going to be hot and dry, and you could see it's actually going north right here, and it's under a small amount of containment right now, but you could see it's still moving, but it's not moving here in the southeast, at least for now. But there are trails that have been damaged, and this North Rim trail system, I think in a lot of places is going to be toast. Some of you asked me about the old Bright Angel Trail as an alternate to the North Kaibab Trail if the North Rim opens at some point next year. Now, look at a map here. You can see there's a trail branching off on some maps from the Manzanita Rest area, following Bright Angel Creek and going up to the North Rim. To call this a trail would be generous. I did this with a local friend of mine before COVID, maybe 2018, and it was brutal. It was brutal. We probably went maybe a half a mile an hour, maybe a little bit better than that, but there's a lot of bushwhacking. There's a lot of sections that are just very narrow and sketchy and washed out. It's not a maintained trail, not an official trail, and 100% you'll probably get into trouble there if you are not an experienced Grand Canyon backpacker, hiker used to this type of condition. It's really not something you should do, and I don't recommend you do it. So that's the old Bright Angel Trail, and there's videos online. People have done it. You can go check it out yourself, but please don't do that. Not a good idea. There's also a chlorine gas leak from the water treatment facility in the North Rim being damaged. That went down into the canyon. If you're wondering if that was a real thing and what that felt like, check out this news report.
Firefighters. I remember that my sinuses and my eyes were burning a lot and my throat. And I didn't find out until later that that was from the chlorine gas.
She says about 30 hikers and half a dozen campers were evacuated with her. Because of the long hike out, helicopters were used. While she's scared of heights, the helicopter was Coffin's saving grace.
I don't like to fly, but I want to get out of here. So that was kind of scary.
So if people are choking and tearing, they're flying people out in helicopters, I think it's a pretty serious thing. I've not heard an update on this yet. My thought is that they're just focusing on the North Rim right now, and it's probably better for everyone if they keep, parts of the main corridor there closed just for safety. And there is a larger closure, I think partially because of this chlorine gas and partially because of smoke, which is the official reason they have on the site. But not just the North Kaibab Trail, but the South Trail and also the River Trail, which was closed anyway. Bright Angel Trail lower than Havasupai Gardens, and the Tonto Trail connecting Bright Angel and South Kaibab is closed. So they really don't want you hiking down in the canyon right now, which I understand. There's also a fire warning on the South Rim this weekend. So I think everyone just wants North Rim and the chlorine gas leak to be resolved before they start opening things up again. If you really want to hike into the canyon and you're at the South Rim, go check out the Hermit Trail. That's another good one that's away from everything that's going on. I'm not sure what the heat conditions are. Obviously, check that. If it's extreme heat, you're not going to want to do any of these. And if you've done Hermit Trail already, go check out the Grand View Trail, which is on the east side and should be away from things too. The Grand View Trail, by the way, I think it's an old miner's trail. It's one of the hardest trails I've ever done in the Grand Canyon. So just a heads up, do not do these if the heat is up there. I also want to mention that the Kaibab Lodge, which is north of this fire, it's kind of in between the two fires, is still there. It's an alternate place to stay overnight if you're doing rim to rim. Obviously, it's not going to happen for a while, but obviously we want that to survive and those businesses there not to be destroyed. The firefighters specifically mentioned in one of the briefings that they thought it was too far away to be in danger or in risk right now, but they were sending a crew there to help set up, protections for it. So I'll let you know what happens there. But if you look at the map, you can see now the fire is starting to spread northward towards that, and that is sandwiched in between the two fires that are going on. There's also some controversy around how this fire progressed. Now, it started with a lightning strike on July 4th. According to the Park Service press release, they created a perimeter around it and left it with the perimeter there. I think the plan was to do a controlled burn here anyway, and they maybe thought that monsoon season was coming, soon, July, August, and there would be rains to put it out. And if you look at the satellite photo, by the 15th, it has exploded and is now spreading all down here. So you could see it went from almost nothing to this huge fire relatively quickly, aided by strong winds here in the North Rim area. So that's what's going on. Everything's closed. Don't do rim to rim. Don't plan on doing rim to rim this year. Maybe not next year. I'll let you know if it opens up. When the inner corridor trails like South Kaibab and Bright Angel below Havasupai Gardens opens, I will let you know. I do recommend when that does open, if you want to go to the Grand Canyon and still do a good hike, you can do rim to river down South Kaibab and then back up Bright Angel. It's not across the Grand Canyon, but it gives you a very similar experience, and it's another beautiful hike. I'll let you know, again, if it opens up and if you can do that. So you don't necessarily need to cancel your plans if you had them. And the nice thing about Rim to River is that you don't have to do it within the window of the North Rim being opened or closed. You can really do it any time of the year. You can do it in the winter. You can do it, whenever you are there, as long as it's not too hot. So that's what's going on. The Grand Canyon Conservancy has a relief fund page. If you'd like to help out, you can do it there. And also just to note, the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, which is, I think, in Colorado, northeast of there, is completely closed because of a separate wildfire. So lots of fires going on. Fingers crossed we can get through the rest of the season without anything else major happening, but who knows? And if you don't subscribe already, I'll keep you updated. Just subscribe to the channel or my Patreon, and I will let you know when conditions change again. But that's what's going on. Take North Rim off your list for quite a while, I think.